Welcome everyone to our session this afternoon on continuing to keep it simple in SchoolNet version 24. This is a session on the basics of SchoolNet where we're going to go over things like creating a test, assigning it, looking for questions, and even just the basics reporting. We did do a reporting webinar in October that I can link for more in-depth information on the reports in SchoolNet. But again, today is going to be a basics overview for anyone who is new to SchoolNet or might just need a refresher. I've put the bit.ly for today in the chat, but I will put it again for anyone that has joined in recently. But we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, we thank you for joining us today. All right, so our objectives today are just talk about what SchoolNet is and how we access it, and then how we can create and administer tests and how do we view those test results, and then just some resources that we have to share with you. So before I get started, I do want to introduce, I thought I had that in here, but I must have taken it out. I do want to introduce our guest that we have today. So Catherine, if you would mind, or if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Sure, no problem. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Catherine Simone. I work for Pearson. I am the implementation manager for SchoolNet for North Carolina DPI.
Perfect. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you for being with us. She has been with us with our other webinars as well. She's an amazing resource. So any questions you have, she is going to know the answers for sure.
Well, wait a minute. That's a lot of pressure.
All of the questions that have been asked thus far and all of the questions that I give her, she always knows the answers. So she is a great asset to us. So we're so thankful that you're here with us today.
Yeah.
And my name is Rebecca Stokes, if I have not met you. Okay. Oh, I do have someone that says they can't hear. Catherine, are you able to hear me okay?
I am.
Okay. All right. So Michelle,
can you log out and log back in? And if you're using headphones, double check the connection on the headphones.
Yeah, it might be that with WebEx, if you're not using your computer's audio. Oh, okay. Perfect. It looks like she can hear now. Perfect. Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you for letting us know in the chat. I am monitoring that. But again, my name is Rebecca Stokes. I am the product manager for SchoolNet for NCDPI. So I am very happy to be here with you. This is our third webinar that we have had. So we thought starting in January, we know there's a lot of new teachers that have come into districts, and there might just be some people that need a refresher. So that's why we thought going back to the basics of SchoolNet would be a beneficial session for this month. But we do have these each month, and I will post that in the chat at the end of today's session. But as some of you already have, please feel free to use the chat anytime during this session. You can unmute and talk to us as well. There are, it looks like 58 in here at the moment, so chat might be the best option. I'm going to be monitoring that, and Catherine will be monitoring that as well. So please feel free to ask any questions throughout today's session. Okay, I think that was all of the basics. Okay, all right, so first off, what is SchoolNet and how can it help us? So just want to talk briefly about what the product is. So it's North Carolina's instructional improvement system. We use this statewide. It's a resource repository and it's a tool for assessment. There are a lot of released assessments from the state that you can use, which are a really great tool. And then there are a lot of testlets that are provided from Certica that Pearson gives us access to as well. And then of course you can create your own assessments, and that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, so we're going to just take a brief tour of the SchoolNet interface before we dive deeper. So the first thing that I want to talk about is when you are logging into SchoolNet, you're going through your NC Ed Cloud. If you ever log in and it asks you to verify your role, that is when you want to either contact myself or your PowerSchool manager, because that means that you do not have rights in PowerSchool for SchoolNet. So just know if you've ever tried to log in and ask you to verify your role, that there already is a problem. So you're going to want to get in contact with myself or your Power School manager so that we can get you access to SchoolNet. But once you log in, this is what your screen is going to look like. And I just wanted to go over a few things. So first thing is this blue in the top right corner where it says what's new in SchoolNet. So this is going to be where any product updates or product release notes are going to be. So anytime there's an update, then there'll be release notes posted here that kind of lets you know about all of the new changes or new things to be looking for. You also have a splash page widget, which is where any news from DPI would be posted. I think the last thing I posted would have been about the training site update. I don't post too many things there, so it's not anything that you really have to keep up with, but just know that any news from DPI would be posted here. And then right below this, let me move this over here, is your choose a section widget where you are able to choose your different sections and be able to access your reports easily for those sections, as well as access your lesson planner if you use that in SchoolNet, search for materials through SchoolNet, and then have a quick access to your assessments as well. And we are not going to be working off of this PowerPoint. Catherine and myself both prefer the training site to go through everything live over the PowerPoint. So just know that we are not going to be off of this PowerPoint the whole time, but everything that we're going to be doing in the live site would be on this presentation. Okay, one more thing before we scroll down is over on the left-hand side, you have your menu bar where you have access to your reporting. The reporting here is the same reports that you can access here. This is just going to give you the reporting dashboard where you can see all of your assessments, and this one would just drill down for that particular course. Also, your classroom lesson planner, if you use that through SchoolNet, as well as your instructional materials, and then an easy way to get to your assessments and to create assessments are right here as well. There we go. And then right below this choose a section is your classroom assessment monitor, and it looks like this. So this is just an at a glance view of your data depending on what section is chosen and which test is chosen. But it's really nice that it's on the home screen so you can immediately see it. It's going to have tabs of your district and local test and then your classroom test located at the top. So you would want to go between those depending on which assessment you were trying to look at. And you can hit this little blue drop down arrow right here, and that'll actually change the assessment that you're looking at. Excuse me. And again, this is based off of the section that you've chosen here. So in this example, you can see I've got this English for honors. So that is going to be the data that's showing in my classroom assessment monitor, depending on that section. But you can drop down here to select the assessment you want to see. And then you're going to have just this at a glance data right here showing you your score group comparison, as well as your section, school, and district data based off of this color code right here that you can see the different cut scores here. And then you also have some pre-formatted reports located right here. There is another way to get to these, but this is just right there on your homepage that you can immediately click your test summary or any of these other reports to get to quickly from your homepage. And right below that, sorry for the screenshots, this is why we don't usually work off of the presentations and why we're going to be leaving it in just a minute because you have to take pictures and put it in there. But right below that classroom assessment monitor, still part of it where we had the cut scores, right below that is where you're going to see the students that are in that section and you'd be able to see their scores for that assessment. So, and if you hover over these colored bars here is actually going to be giving you data on their past, I believe it's 7 assessments that you can just hover over and get at a glance results just to see how they had done on previous assessments as well. Okay.
I responded to one thing in the chat,
Oh,
sorry.
perfect, thank
Okay.
you.
Just
saw that.
okay.
Okay. And let's see, I'm trying to see before we go into the live site if there was anything else from here I wanted to see. So your classroom profile which is going to be showing these students right here, the students that are in your class. That's just going to give you a list of your students based off of your roster. But anything blue in SchoolNet is hyperlinked. So if I were to click on this first student right here, it's going to take me to that student's profile where I would be able to see a lot of information that we're actually going to show you in the live site. But if a student has accommodations, their profile is where you would want to change that or to add those. And then you can also see their scores from previous assessments as well. Okay, so before we get into the live site to talk about building an assessment, let's see, no, you do not have to create the rosters. They are pulled in automatically from PowerSchool. So once you log in, every student that you have for any of your classes in PowerSchool will automatically be in SchoolNet. You are welcome, Donna. Yes, I'll say sometimes I'm able to read the chat and talk at the same time. So, of course. All right, Catherine, anything you want to add before we talk about creating an assessment?
No, but I am having trouble with that login that you provided in
The
this.
the one for the training?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Can you just can I change it and will it update yours on your screen?
Yeah, I think so, and that needs to be a 2. Yep, thank you
Yep.
for catching that.
Okay. That's what I was.
Thank you. See,
Okay.
this is why you're so awesome.
I was pre-logging in and I'm like, wait a minute, that one doesn't work. Hold on.
So what Catherine is referring to, excuse me, is we're about to go into the training site, which all of you in North Carolina as teachers have access to. It's a sandbox where you can play around with SchoolNet and not worry about messing anything up. So if you were anything like me as a classroom teacher, I wanted to kind of play around and make an assessment before I actually did it live in SchoolNet. So that's something that you can do in the training site. Um, so let me click back to there. Okay, we already talked about getting into SchoolNet, but if you would like to go into the training site with us, you can click on this link here in the presentation, and it's going to ask you for the username and password. So you can use this username and password here, and that is where we are going to be building from. What you're showing to a full screen on my computer. You should be able to, on your computer, Wade, just to expand it to a full window. It might be that your window is minimized and you can just expand that into a full screen to make it larger. Or if you, here, let me copy and paste the bit.ly again into the chat, and then you should be able just to go to that and make that full screen as well.
Also, I just put a link to other logins in the training site. So if you are an admin on the call, you can log in as an admin. The actual username that's on the screen right now is for teacher. So I just wanted to make sure that they're for everyone to access. You can create or, practice whatever you want in the training site.
Perfect. Thank you, Catherine.
Yep.
All right. So Catherine, since you are already in the training site, do you mind just showing how to create an assessment and then we can just kind of tag team?
No problem. Let me see. So I can
Let's see.
share.
Let me stop sharing mine.
Okay. Share. Should be right here, right? And then if I go here, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Am I in
And
SchoolNet?
you are.
Okay. Good going. All right. So I did log in as that teacher two, so everyone knows. Just to reiterate what you saw in the screenshot, this is my homepage. When you log into your site, it will say your name here and your school and your role. One person did say that they needed to verify their roles, so you will need to check with Rebecca after the presentation and have that adjusted in PowerSchool. But your choose a section I'm a third grade teacher. These are all the classes that I teach, the tests that my students have taken, just so you can see how the navigation is there. Okay. All right. On the left, blue banner. At the bottom, assessments. Down arrow, we're going to go to create. We're going to use the manual test. Okay. And I'm going to call this math grade 3. Sample. Okay. I choose my subject. It does help if you put the year in. So this would be a 22-23 test, because you can reuse your tests and copy them over into the new year. So I like to give my tests a year, and as much detail in the name as I possibly can. The little asterisks designate the things that you absolutely must fill in. So a name, a subject, a grade level. Your preferred standards document. I happen to be using math. At this point, you do have the ability to select which standards you would like to have this test aligned to. So I'm a teacher. Let's do a use case scenario, and I am about to work on fractions. Okay. This is my NF, my number and operations for fractions domain. I'm going to click the arrow, the down arrow next to it, and on the next one, and I am going to pick the standards that I am currently working on with my class. So let's just say I'm going to do interpret fractions with a denominator. Let's just leave it at 1, make it simple. Okay, hit save and close. As a teacher, I only have the option of a My Classroom test. If you have leadership rights, you can either create a school level assessment if you are aligned to the school, or a district level assessment, depending on your roles and permissions. But as a teacher, I'm leaving it as a My Classroom test. You can set any restrictions you want. I kind of leave this all alone till the end of the test, or when I schedule if I want to put restrictions in. But at this point, I go down to the bottom right. There is always a blue button that's either saves or moves you on to the next page or opens up in the new screen. I'm going to click Generate Test. At this point, I can decide to use items from a bank, or I can create my own items. For this demonstration, because we're just getting started, I'm going to use items from the banks. When I click that, it takes me right to the item banks. Okay. Now, I can select which item banks I would like to choose items from. I could say this is the CTE bank. These are math sets, classroom, released items, Certica. Why? I must have selected something wrong on mine. I'm sorry. I'll go back and fix that. In this account, it probably has only certain banks selected. I'm just going to leave it open to all banks, and I'm just going to hit select. Remember that when I created the test, I chose this standard, NF1. So it's already filtered. It's already looking for items based on that particular standard. Now, if I'm searching all banks, I probably want to make sure if I want English items that I select English and I'm only looking for these items. So I see I have 201 items. If I want, I can look at other filters, anything from the date. Rebecca always provides dates of when the state releases new items, to item types I'm looking for, whatever you want to do. But you're going to search through, you're going to pick the items you want. and I'm just going to select 2 or 3 items just to demonstrate. Pick the first 4 there. And as I said, there's always a blue button at the bottom right. I'm going to click to add test. And now this is what I refer to as basically the creation screen for my items. I can see I have 4 items. I'm going to read through them. If I like them, they're going to stay as is. If there's something I want to change, I can do it at this point. So let me demonstrate. Let's just say my students, my 3rd graders, need a little bit more direction. So here is a shaded rectangle. Which fraction represents the shaded part of the rectangle? So maybe I am going to give them a direction like choose the one answer that completes da da da, whatever. Okay, but you get the idea. I can change it. I can put whatever I want there. If I want, I can change the answers, or I can eliminate answers. So let's just, let me take this part out. Let's suppose that this, I don't want to give my students too many answer choices. So I'm going to take away this last one here and only give them 3 answer choices. Okay, lots of options of how I can change it, but I move on, it saves it. Let's just say I reviewed them all, I like them, and I'm ready to go. If I want to go back and get additional items, I just need to click the blue button down here, add item from bank. It will take me right back to my search, and while it does not identify which ones you just used, unfortunately, you can pick a couple other items and add them to the test. Okay, now I have 6 items. I'm pretty satisfied with that. I highly recommend before you do anything else or leave this page, preview your test, check the answers, make sure that it looks the way you want it to look for your students. So I click Preview Online Tests, Preview in Test Nav. This pops up in a new window. Make sure you do not have a pop-up blocker. If you do, you need to get rid of the pop-up blocker up here in your browser. Mine's not showing one, obviously, because it's launching. Whoops, where'd it go? There you go. It's launching the test, okay? So this is what it would look like when my students log in. They put their passcode in, start test, they answer the test, they keep going, but you're going to read through, you're going to make sure when you answer a question, you can calculate the score. Okay, this one was this one, so let's see, and make sure it's correct. Now, that calculate score button does not display for students, only when you are checking and editing the test, okay? When you're finished checking and editing, you can close the window. I'm ready to go. Return to test details. And now I can start the process of scheduling the test. But before
And
I move on
Catherine,
from there, yep, I was going to
I'm
say,
sorry.
let me
Can I
stop
interrupt
there.
you?
Yep.
Because your screen appeared to freeze where you could edit the questions. So some people had said in the item bank or in the good gracious in the item bank in the chat that they weren't able to see what you were doing after
Oh,
that part because it froze.
uh-oh. Okay, let's try that again. Let me get to, okay, well, this is a good example. So here you go. I left my test and I need to find it again. So I'm going to go here, okay, find, and it's always helpful. I did not do this. Should have done it. Save the name and the n- test ID of your test. So let me go here, and there's my sample. There's lots of filters here where I can filter by when I'm looking for a test. It's assessment, find. I can filter by subject, grade. The test was in a private draft, so when I hit that, I know it's right there. Um, did I make two of them? Maybe I did it the last time I was in this. Sorry. Got a lot of tests here, don't I? Whoops. That one was not the right one. All right. This is my test with 6 items, but this is a good lesson here. So I go back into the test, I find it, I need to edit the items. Here's my edit button. Rebecca, let me know if my screen freezes while I'm doing this, okay?
I will.
Okay. So let's go to question 2. I can type anything I want here. Okay, you just click in, it brings up a text editor. I can type, remove things. I can remove an answer choice if I want to. Okay, go through and I can preview, change anything I want about the questions. When I'm finished, I'm going to preview as a student up here at the top, preview online. Preview test. As I said, it pops up in a new window.
Okay, that is what is not showing. Your pop-up is not showing.
Okay, then
Um,
it's my WebEx settings. Hang on a second. Let me stop sharing, share
and
again.
I'm going to answer a few questions that are in the chat. So it looks like a few of you said that you selected English, but the questions kept showing up in Spanish. So what you're going to want to do is when you choose your item banks, you are going to want to select the item banks that you want to pull from, except for the Certica Spanish. There are 2 Spanish banks this year, which has caused an influx in Spanish questions. So if you don't specify which item banks you want it to pull from, then it's going to pull from Spanish, and those, for some reason, are the ones that usually are first appearing.
And
So,
that filter should take them out. The language filter?
well, that's what Michelle said, that they selected English, but they still showed up as Spanish. So I'm thinking that she's saying that they selected English in the filters, maybe.
Oh, okay. It
Yeah, she said the
shouldn't.
filter did not take them out.
Okay. All right. Then just eliminate those 2 banks from your search, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute.
Okay. And then we had, and Amanda, I see your question as well. We will show that. So
Can everybody see the preview of the test right now?
yes, or at least I can. So everybody should.
Okay. So this is the part where you can calculate the score. You're checking for um, the student's view, making sure it's all right. Okay. But you're just going to click through. This is what it would look like for the students. When you want to get rid of the preview screen, you just exit out and you're back to, can you see my screen now?
Nope, it stopped sharing.
Oh man, see, do you share through the screen or the application?
I think I share through the screen.
Okay, that's what I was doing. I don't know why it won't switch screens with me. Okay, let me try it again. Entire screen. Share. Okay.
There we go.
Can you, can you see my SchoolNet?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know why it wasn't sharing the right thing. All right. I'm sorry, I apologize. I lost my train of thought. Are we going into creating our own items or not in this one? No.
No,
Okay.
not in
All
this
right.
one.
All right. So I'm satisfied with the items that I chose from the bank. Let me finish out this process here of scheduling them. Okay. And then I'll go back and show you about checking the item banks and how to filter some out. So I'm finished editing from this screen. Up here on the top right, blue button, return to test details. It's going to ask me if I want to save the changes. I'm going to save the changes. And now I'm ready to go. I see here my test is in draft mode on the top right. It's private. As a teacher, I only have the option of private and then scheduling it. If I am an admin, and it's a school level or a district level test, then I would be able to make it public so that, for instance, let's just say Rebecca and I are both reviewing the test. If I make it public, as long as the two people have leadership rights, they would both be able to view the test. Okay. But we're going from the teacher's aspect here. I'm going to schedule it. I'm going to hit finalize. Okay. Schedule. I'm going to pick my start date. So let's go back January. Oh, say it's whatever you want to leave it, 2 weeks open, 3 weeks open, it doesn't matter. You can put some restrictions on it. I don't think anyone here uses scan it, so you can leave these buttons alone here. But you do need to assign the test. Number 2 is the absolute most important. I mean, obviously you need a date, but this is it. The students won't have it on their take a test page. You won't be able to find the results unless you assign it. Now, as a teacher, the system already intuitively knows that I have one section for math. Okay. So as a teacher, I can go ahead and apply the default assignment. Now I can see that this is assigned to one section. All right. I can track my students. Why is this locked here? I think there's some settings on the training site that I'm not aware of for this particular teacher. But in your site, you would have the ability to, let me see. I think this is because this is the training site. Can't they link to Canvas right here?
Yes, and I've noticed that the sharing with their Power Teacher gradebook isn't an option in the training either. But I
Because
do
it's
have,
not linked to Power School, right?
yep, yep.
Okay, so there's two buttons we don't see in the training site only because there's nothing to connect it to. In the production site, you have the ability to link it to your Canvas if you're using Canvas or to your gradebook.
And
Because, sorry,
that
go
is
ahead.
in the presentation. I do have the
Okay,
screenshots of what their screen would look like in the presentation from production.
right. There's just some things we can't replicate in training because it's not connected to Canvas or to PowerSchool directly. So, but there are buttons for that. When you've selected all the features that you want, these little eyes give you some information as to, um, what each feature is. Uh, you can in production change the passcode. I highly recommend not doing that because it needs to be a randomized passcode for the test. So we've had issues in the past where two tests had the same passcode and the results kind of went every which way. So if you could leave the passcodes, that would be great. Once you make your selections, hit save and publish. And you can see up here in the top right, this test is in the middle of publishing. And once it's finished, it will be ready for my students. This is the test ID. This is the passcode for the test. I'm going to leave that run and I'm going to go back to my home screen. And as this third grade teacher, I am going to choose my third grade math section, and then I am going to go right here to test management. Okay. I gotta wait till it publishes. Of course, I have to wait till it publishes. I wish it would just go fast. Okay. In a minute, I will see my test and it'll be ready to go. Um,
And I'm going to answer a few questions in the
Go
chat
ahead. Go
while we're
ahead.
waiting for that. Okay, so those that are asking about the Spanish, we are going to talk about that in just a minute. Catherine, we do have someone that said they uploaded a periodic table for reference to use during the test, but the students did not have access to it. Is there something they have to do to make that visible for students if they're uploading something?
Where did they put it?
I'm not sure. Let's see. Amanda, do you remember where you uploaded that to in SchoolNet? Let's see if she'll put that in the chat. Let's see. Spanish, Spanish, Spanish. Cherie, about where students go to take it. So students log into their NCED cloud and click on their SchoolNet icon as well to take an assessment that you have scheduled for them. Spanish, Spanish. Samantha, it does not link to Google Classroom. You would just have to put an announcement in your Google Classroom that they had an assessment to take, but it only links to Canvas. And someone cannot see where you can link to Canvas. So, Cherie, I can, once Catherine has finished going over this part, then I can show you where that would be. And then we will talk about the accommodations and text to speech option as well. And I can show you how to do that.
Okay. So I just from my homepage, I went to that classroom monitor. I'll go back and show you that, but I just want to show you where you can find your students' information. Okay. So here's my test. Here is the password. The test is started. Under the actions button, here is where I can view all my students' usernames. Okay, so let me go here real quick and I'm going to cheat and I'm going to hope that this works and use a different browser. Give me a second here. Sorry, I should add this open. My mistake. Safari.
Oh, you're fine. Let's
So
see
what
here.
I'm going to do is log in as a student and leave my teacher logged in so that you can see both. I'll try to make them side by side. Let me see if I can do that real quick. Get this.
And Gloria, you should have the rights to assign read aloud and other accommodations. You just have to turn those on in the student's profile, but we will show you how to do that.
You know how much I love WebEx, right?
I know, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Can you at least see my Safari screen at the same
Yes.
time? Oh, good, good. We're getting someplace then. All right, let me log in then as a student. All right, so here's my students. I'm going to go grab this list of usernames. Let me just take this first student on the list. Student. In the training site, all the students' passcodes are home base. So let's just go. Hopefully I can log in as a student. Just save that for a minute there. Okay, so now I'm in as the student. What does the student see? Up here on the top left, take a test. I'm going to go back. If I were the teacher for real, I would have put the passcode on the board or put it on little slips of paper, but I'm going to copy it because I'm demonstrating. and I'm going to paste it here. The child types the passcode into the box. They hit go. You can see the section for the test. Okay. They're going to hit start your test. And of course, this one has a pop-up blocker. So let me get rid of it. That's good demonstration. I'm getting rid of my pop-up blocker here. And there is my test as a student. Now, just to demonstrate, I'm going to answer these questions as this student real quick. All right, let me stop there for a minute. I'm going to minimize this and go back to my teacher. Okay. Another feature that the teacher has, same place under actions. So I went to view usernames. Now I can go to my Proctor dashboard for this test. Here is the student that I logged in as. You can see that my test is in progress. Green, I got that answer correct. 2, I got correct. Red, I got them incorrect. Okay. This icon shows me that the student is still working in the test, and I can see the progress as at the status as in progress over here. Okay. Let me go back to my student test. I think that's down here. Finish this out and submit it. I'm going to close the window. Get out of here and minimize my student. Go back to my teacher. And I'm going to refresh this. And now you can see the computer icon has changed to a pencil. It says the result. It tells me the date and time that I completed the test. At this point, let's just say the scenario is it's not a test, and I gave an activity within SchoolNet for my students to complete. I can say to Catherine, hey, you know what? I'm going to resume your test. Can you please take a look at numbers 2, 3, and 4? So as the teacher, I'm going to hit resume. And this opens it back up for the test. I'm going to go back to my student right here. My student can then put the passcode back in. Oh, hang on. Probably need to refresh my screen. Oh, I wasn't logged in as my kid. What was that student? Hope this was the right one. I don't think that was my student. Student. That's what Rebecca was talking about. Verifying your roles. Get
Yep.
out of there. Let me try and log back in as that student. Sorry. Oh, it's going to make me. That's better. Okay. Grab that test ID. Because I resumed the test for the student, student can go back in. I told them to double check 2, 3, and 4. Their answers are still there. But let's see if they're going to go back to number 2. Let me see if I can 3. I don't know if I got anything different, but there. And submit. Oh, I improved my score. Woohoo! There we go. All right. So that is what it looks like for the student experience, that they are going to be able to take the test there. All right. After I schedule it. Now it's submitted again and I'm there. Let me go back. I'm going to sign out of this one. Give me a second. Okay. Talking about searching for item banks in the production site, okay, you are going to see, oh, wait a minute, different user. No, I'm just going to cheat here. Sorry, Rebecca.
You are fine.
I don't actually know my other password for the training site. So I've been using a student for so long. On the left, when I go under assessments, before I was going to create, a little bit farther down, you see item banks. Okay. When you go to search in anywhere, before you're going to set up a search, I highly recommend you choose the item banks that you want to search from. There is a checkbox here. If you don't want to look at the old SchoolNet items, uncheck it. It won't show up in your search. 12.1 is the new Certica item bank. If you want to see that, leave it checked. You want to search the old Certica bank, leave it checked. If you're not interested in Spanish, uncheck it. Uncheck Spanish. Don't want to see CTE items, uncheck it. By doing this, when I go to find an item, let me just demonstrate. And I go back to math. And I go to my third grade again. And this time I look at the banks, okay? I can choose here if I don't, if I just want the math sets, but if I don't choose any, okay, it's going to, my filters are already in place for my subject and my grade, but it's going to limit my search to only the item banks that have that checkbox that I had chosen. And that should help the people that are having difficulty with getting Spanish items.
Mhm. And Toby, the Certica 12.1 bank, there is an English and a Spanish. So the ones that are Spanish are going to have parentheses that say Spanish beside it, but just know that there are two. There's one that just says Certica Spanish, and then the other one is going to say Certica 12.1 Spanish. But there are also English versions of both of those banks as well.
Yes.
Okay. And then one other question, if Amanda could not remember where she had uploaded um, the periodic table, so would you mind just showing if somebody has a resource that they want to upload into a test where they would put that?
Say this again.
So Amanda tried to upload a periodic table for reference. She said that she didn't remember what screen it was, but it stated something that it was a
Okay.
material for students to access.
All right. Let
So
me,
I'm thinking it's the formula reference document.
all right, let me go back to my test and log out. Who did I log in as? I'm so sorry. I'm trying to find out where. Let me just pick this test and make a copy of it real quick. All right. So did you attach it to the item or to the test itself?
She had put that she found it before she created the test. But she was thinking that it was under resources or something, but she said it was a few weeks ago, so she couldn't remember the screen. So if they did have something that they wanted students to reference, would they
Oh,
put
she
it in?
probably put it here under associated resources. That's for teachers, not for students.
Okay.
So if you want to attach a reference sheet, let's go to this item. It's just a multiple choice item. I'm just going to take it randomly. I'm going to say edit it. Here's where you put the reference sheet, formula reference sheet. It has to be attached to each item that you want the students to use it for. Does that make sense?
It does. I don't see anything in the chat, but thank you for showing everybody else where they would put that as well.
Yeah, so
Um,
basically I'm just going to click upload and I don't think I even have a good document to put with it. But let me just pick a screenshot there. Let's pick a screenshot. How about that one? It'll be right there. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to demonstrate how it shows up. So preview. Can you still see my pop-up?
we can, yes.
Oh, good. I must have fixed something.
Yay.
I'm tentative every time I click, and I was going between too many screens there for a minute there. All right, so we should see where that appears on this first question. All right, there we go. See where it says exhibits? And I had just taken a screenshot of test restrictions for somebody, and that's what I uploaded, and there it is.
Perfect. Thank you for showing
Okay.
that to us.
Yep.
Let's see. Some other questions. Can you show in the student how they access the student profiles to be able to turn on accommodations?
Mm, so I have to ask a question of you, Rebecca.
Of course.
In North Carolina, do teachers have that ability or is it just admins?
Yes. No,
We do.
teachers, anybody that has that student associated with their roster can turn them on.
Okay, good to know. Just checking. I have so many sites and every site is different. Couldn't remember what it was like. Okay, so let's go back to our home screen. I logged in as myself. That's why it was looking different. Let me get back out and log in as a teacher again.
So
There's
Amanda, if yours are already turned on, then that is awesome because that means that somebody in your district did it for you. Some districts have the teachers do it. So if your students already have those turned on, then that's awesome because that's one less thing that you have to do. So it is
right.
okay if they are turned on. It's okay if they're not. It's very simple to give your students those accommodations. We're happy to show you.
Okay, as a teacher, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to pick my reading section right now. Easiest way to get to my kids is I'm going to go to reports, student reports, and here's my student list. So let's just say, I don't even know, first kid on the list, test nav PMP, text to speech, magnifier, line reader, answer masking, color coding, can change anything I want here, give them a calculator, hit save. Their PMP is set. Okay.
You do still have to turn it on the test.
Yes. Oh, I thought
Just
you
wanted to
wanted me to demonstrate this.
No, I did. I just
Oh,
wanted to let
okay.
them know that even though they turn on there, they still have to click it in the test as well.
Okay. Uh, and let me go back and show that in the test. So I love the training site. There's so much stuff in it that you almost can't find your stuff. Great.
I know.
Let me see. All right. So it's this one. Um, so when I was scheduling this test, here in the test settings, under properties,
Oh, I think it's actually on the top right. I think you
is it?
scrolled past it where
Did
it
I
said accommodations.
accommodations?
Yep.
It defaults automatically, but I can edit this here and I can add the line reader, the magnifying glass, magnifying, etc. Put everything in here, and then any student that has that feature enabled in their PMP will then be able to access it on the test. Okay,
Perfect. Thank you.
it's right there.
Um, let's see. I'm trying to see if there was anything. So I did have someone that said they were missing the box about sharing it to Canvas. So I'm trying to go back through and find that. So if that was you and you were saying that you did not see that, if you could, I'm going to put my email in the chat just at the end of this. If you could email me, then I'd be happy to show you. Oh, Catherine's actually going to show you right
Yeah, I
now.
don't know if I might only have state tests. Um, let me see if I can
Oh,
find it.
Samantha, we have not already answered that. So you would want to do that in co-authoring. So we can show you how to do that as well.
All these tests are in progress. I don't, and they belong to somebody else, Rebecca.
I know, and that was
Um,
my issue too. So that's why I was like, oh, I'll just get them to email me and then I can show them.
yeah, I think that it is there in the production site. I just don't
Yeah,
want to touch which is where I'm sitting right now in my account, but I don't want to touch someone else's
right. Agreed. So
co-authoring, right?
if yes, and if you were the one that was asking about Canvas, I would love to set up a meeting with you where you could share your screen and I can show you where it is because kind of like Catherine, I don't want to share other people's assessments on a live recorded webinar. So can you copy a test from another teacher so you can make adjustments to it? Yes, so Raymond, if they share, Catherine's going to show you how to do a co-author. If they share an assessment with you, then you can create a copy of that and make edits to it. And Amy, yes, we are actually going to talk about that because we're having that session on January 23rd. So do not worry. We're here to help. Okay, I'm sorry, Catherine. Can you show how to share a test as a co-author?
Sure. All right. So just because I already scheduled this one, I'm going to make a copy of this test so it'll act like a brand new test. And I'm just going to call this one co-author so I know that. Um, this is the screen you would start with. You can go right to the very bottom, hit enable co-authoring, and start typing the person's last name. And I'm using my own name because I know I have an account in here. And you can co-author it with that person and generate the test. Okay, that's one way. All right. The other way is, let me go down here on the navigation bar on the left. You can go all the way down and you see test co-authoring. So let's give this scenario. I am one of 4 third grade teachers, and we want to create several tests that we can give to our third graders. But we're all going to create one test, and then we're going to share it with someone else. The best way to do it is to create a co-author folder. So I went to assessments, test authoring, create new folder, and I'm going to call this, oh, look, I made one before. Perfect. Math grade 3. Then I just start adding people's names that will be able to access the co-author folder. Okay. Hopefully your name's in here, Rebecca, and then I can.
There I am.
Perfect. You're in there a couple times. But anyway, all right. So let's just say all my teachers are in here. I hit save. Good to go. There's my folder. There's 3 users. Right now, there's nothing in the folder. Let me go back, grab that test that I just called co-authoring. think I generated it. Let me hope I did. Of course I didn't. Let me try it again. I'm going to make a copy of this. Call this because I didn't save it. I get to the bottom and I co-author. It says enable co-authoring. Now I have saved a co-author folder. There's my math grade 3. I'm going to generate the test. And then hit close. And when I see my co-author folder, now you see I have a little number 1 next to it. It lets me know there's 1 test in there. It's based on 3rd grade math. When I click on it, there's my test. I can click on this test if I'm a teacher that Rebecca made this test and I want to use it. All I need to do is open it, hit copy test, get rid of that little co-author, and maybe I'm going to put my last name because I'm going to make some changes and use this in my class, generate the test, and now I can either schedule it or change it and do whatever I want with it.
Perfect. I think that definitely answers the question. Thank
Okay.
you, Catherine. Let's see. I know it is 4:31, so I know some of you have already had to leave. But please know that everything that we have gone through today and some things that we weren't able to get to today are in the presentation that I'm going to put in the chat one more time that you have access to. But I also want to show one more thing. So
I
there's
stopped
the
sharing, so there you go.
perfect. So there's a presentation one more time to give everybody access. Let me go through and there we go. But I did want to share a few additional things. Like I said, an hour gets to be really short with the amount of things that we wanted to work through. But if we go here, it's almost the last slide. It is asking about additional resources. So if you go to the second row where it says SchoolNet resources, here is a link of tons of quick reference documents that we have. So if you were wanting to do co-authoring and you can't remember what we said in this presentation, instead of rewatching this video, you can just click this link right here and it's going to open up this quick reference document for you about how to co-author and share a co-authored assessment. Additionally, if you scroll down, then all of our past presentations, especially the ones from this year that Catherine and I have done, are linked in here, as well as ones from previous years as well. So they go back to 2019, but all of the webinars that have been done for SchoolNet are all linked right here. But then, of course, the biggest thing is right here. Please feel free to reach out to me. It is not just well, whoever your SchoolNet leader needs to email me. No, you please email me if you are having any issues with you're trying to create the assessment and you don't remember how to turn on the accommodations. Well, then I am happy to assist. I can send you a quick reference document, or I can just show you by sending a screenshot if you need to do a meeting where you can share your screen with me. I am happy to help. That is what I am here for. So please know that you can reach out to me at any time.
One thing we didn't have time to talk about, but it is in the PowerPoint. There are probably 200 and some state assessments that are out there ready to go for you. Certica testlets, there's short little tests, there's the math sets, there's other ones, but the teachers can directly access the math sets and the Certica test. I think we put a link in there for the list of tests and directions on how you can find them. For the final exam test and the release test, you will need a district admin to get those out to you, but they are all ready to go, no need to make a test, available in the system. And if you have any questions, you can either just put a question in a ServiceNow case for Amanda and I, or you can email Rebecca and we'll be sure to get you some help with those. Sorry, that was my plug for the
No,
test.
yes. Because like she said, there are released EOGs and EOCs. There's Certica testlets that are great formative assessments. They're quick 5-question, 6-question, and they're already created for you. I know somebody said that they were wondering how to get to that. I'll be happy to show you how to get to those if you would like to stay for time. But just know that the ones that are the state test, like the NCFEs, the EOGs, and the EOCs, like Catherine just said, someone with district admin rights would have to be able to recommend those or assign those, because I'm correct in that teachers do not have access to those. Correct, Catherine?
Correct. Only
Okay.
the teachers can get to the math sets and the Certica tests directly.
That's what I was thinking. Yes.
Yep.
But is it in the training site? If I pull the training site back up,
No.
that?
You
Okay.
have to do
I
it
didn't
from the
think so.
production site, but I can show you real quick if you want.
Here, let me stop. But yeah, if you would like to stay on with us for us to show you that, then please feel free. I know a lot of you have to jump off, which I completely understand. Thank you for joining us, those of you that had to leave. But if you would like to stay, please feel free. We are going to stay on and show you. And while she is pulling that up, I did want to let everyone know that Catherine and I are going to be hosting an additional session this month in January for technology enhanced items because of the latest news of those items being on EOCs and EOGs for K-8. So the same place that you registered for today's session, you will now see a link for a January 23rd session on technology enhanced items in SchoolNet. So I had somebody put that in the chat. We understand, we are here to help. So we have included a new session at the end of January. Sorry, that was my plug, Catherine.
No worries. Okay, real quick, in the PowerPoint, and I think I had it here, there was a link to all the test IDs, if I'm not mistaken, right at the end, Rebecca?
I don't think we put it in there since it was all of them. And so I think only
Wait a
the
minute.
people with the admin rights would be able to
Nope, I
see.
did. Here it is.
Okay.
So on slide 60, if you click on that, there is a link to the Google Drive, if you can see my screen, and you could just pull the test ID. That would be the quickest, easiest thing if you want it. However, I'm just going to show you another alternate route. Home, assessments, find. Let's just say I want Certica English, and I'm going to be that 3rd grade teacher again. I hit go. Going to come right up. Certica, middle of the year writing, Certica, 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 Certica. They're all there. Now, as a teacher, I need to click on it and I need to go to this edit process. I need to schedule it to my sections. Okay. If you don't want the Certica or you want the math, change the subject. The other thing you can search by is assets. Oops, and I would have to change my subject. Sorry, that would make more sense. And then the math sets will come up, okay? But that's the easiest way. Now, let me just say, I do not know this information off the top of my head, but districts requested, they filled out a survey in the summertime. Some districts requested that these be scheduled directly and assigned. If your district did that, then you will need to take no further action. It should just be there. You can look it up, pull the passcode, give it to your students, and they can take the test. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't know. I don't have the list memorized of which districts chose that.
So we'll just say not every district responded to
Right,
this.
there you
So
go. That's a good way to put it. Thank you. But if you need help, again, as with anything else, either just put in a question in a ServiceNow case, or you can email us directly. Okay. And the PowerPoint did have the specifics of the directions on how to access those tests. Okay.
And if you are hearing service now and you're not sure what Catherine is referring to,
Oh,
just
good
know that
thing.
it's okay. Whoever your SchoolNet lead is for your district can put in service now tickets. And if you're not sure who that is, then please feel free to email me and I will let you know who that is and they can put in a service now ticket for you. Someone asked about how to get the presentation. I'm going to put it in the chat for you and then you should be able, there we go. Okay. So I apologize. This happens every time. We always go over just because you guys have such great questions. So thank you for hanging in with us past the time that was scheduled. We appreciate it. Like I said, we're going to have another session January 23rd on technology enhanced items that I'll be sending out to districts. So be looking for that email. But if you have any questions that you wanted to wait until other people had left to ask, Catherine and I will hang out here for a few minutes. And thank you all for joining us. And I hope you have a great afternoon, a great rest of your week.